Good afternoon, dear friends. I welcome one and all for Saturday's webinar session by Hello Kids. Today we are going to learn about Kiddiequette, imbibing basic etiquette right from childhood. To speak more about this, we have a guest, Dhwani Shah. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mamta.
As an internationally certified image consultant and soft skills trainer, she helps individuals bring out the best version of themselves by way of upskilling them in their appearance, behavior, and communication. As a personality enhancement coach, she has also catalyzed the transformation of 1500 plus individuals of diverse age groups ranging between 4 to 40 years. Currently, Dhwani has empaneled as a mentor and trainer with various organizations and also personality development workshops for various age groups. Welcome to Hello Kids, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Mamta, for that introduction and those kind words about me. Let me start by sharing my screen. Just give me a second. Right. I hope you all can see my screen. Yeah. All right. So thank you, Mamta, for that introduction. And I'd just like to add a little more about myself here. In my experience of about 11 plus years, the last 7 to 8 years have been in working with children from various backgrounds, various stratas of the society. And I've worked with QMath for about 5 years. I've run my own franchise here in Chennai, and before that, I was with Teach for India. So I've worked with a lot of kids in all these years, and my learning has got me here today. And today's session is about, yeah, so that's my profile there in case anybody wants to get in touch with me later. That's my LinkedIn and Instagram handle, which is called Upskill with Dhwani. So, yes, let's move ahead. So, today's session is about Kiddiequette, which is etiquette learning in kids. Now, etiquette, as we all know, is nothing but manners and socially acceptable behavior, right? So, yes, it sounds pretty basic, right? It might be like, okay, why are we learning about etiquette? We are teaching this to our kids day in and day out as parents, as teachers, as schools. So I'm here to only magnify the reason about why a child should be inculcated with certain basic etiquette right from their childhood. What is the reason behind it? What is the impact it is going to have in their future? How is it going to help them stand out in this huge pool of competition? How is it going to help them stand out in the crowd? Right, so that is the reason we are here today. Of course, we'll also be talking about a few pillars of etiquette as to what are those basic things that can be inculcated in children right from the beginning, from their childhood, right? So before we move into the why, the reason, let me also tell you all that age is no bar for learning etiquette. In fact, the earlier they learn, the better it is for them, because if you think that the child will learn slowly, I don't really have to teach, let them just enjoy their lives however they are, and they will learn by observing other children, I can just not care about it, then you're probably wrong, because you don't know how the other children are being brought up. You don't have control over that, right? You do have control over what you can teach them today so that they become responsible, sensitive, empathetic, and sensitive individuals, citizens of the country. So let's dive into the benefits or the importance of etiquette learning, right? Okay. So, the benefits of etiquette learning, first of all, let me bring out to your attention that good manners actually opens doors that even the best education cannot. And let me show you how. Okay. Imagine that your child has grown up and has gone out into the corporate world or is trying to run his or her own business, what happens is that um, when there is a vacancy for a particular job application, and there are two candidates contending for getting that job, both the candidates are equally qualified. They both are coming out from the best of institutions, and they're equally qualified. They have all the technical skill sets required for the job, and everything is similar. Then how does the hiring manager or how does the interviewer decide whom to choose for that position? Or even in a business setup, when there are two companies contending for a particular project, an assignment, a consignment, or whatever it is, basically any deal, how does the customer choose whom to do business with? So here is where I'd like to tell you that the person who strikes the chord, who makes that connect, who respects the other person, who makes the other person feel important and behaves in a more sociable way, that person wins the game, right? This is where etiquette can make your child stand out, and this is how etiquette can make your child be unique in their own way. This is how etiquette can make your child win the game. All right, so on that note, let's look at this. So we had a research conducted by the Harvard University in association with the Dale Carnegie Foundation and the Stanford Research Center, which concluded that almost 85% of your success, of your life success, I would say, not just job success, but your life success, depends on soft skills and people skills, which includes communication, behavior, appearance, your soft skills, your empathy, etiquette, all of that. And only 15% of your success comes from technical skills and knowledge, which are also called as the hard skills. And this is not, I'm not saying this, you can Google it. This is a very, very well researched paper and a well researched theory. All right, so keeping that in mind, let's move ahead. Right, just a second. Why is this? Yes. So if you know that 80% or 85% of my job success is going to come from soft skills and not my technical skills, it is best to focus on that, right? Let me also tell you that in the last 7 to 8 years of my teaching career, I have come across many kids who have found it difficult to even come second, like the ones who were coming first. And if they come second by mistake for some reason, it's like the end of life for them, and it's like, oh my god, how can this happen? And they find it very difficult to deal with competition. And not just that, even I've also come across children who find it difficult to behave with others. So what happens is, as a result of that, they kind of get isolated from the group, and they become a little less sociable and approachable, right? So in these situations, we know that learning etiquette will only make your child socially active, socially acceptable, right? It is going to help them to improve their social bonds, to improve their confidence, their empathy, kindness, and respect, right? So, developing basic etiquette will only help them build strong social bonds. Always remember that. Now, moving ahead of what exactly are the pillars of etiquette learning for kids. The idea here, before we look at the pillars of etiquette learning, let's understand that the idea here is to set a strong base, a strong foundation. Let's look at it this way. Now, if we have a weak foundation and we build a skyscraper on top of that, what is the point, right? Today or tomorrow, that skyscraper will just come down collapsing because of the weak foundation. So it really doesn't matter how many floors you're going to build on top of a bad foundation. On the other hand, if you have a good foundation, a strong foundation, then you can decide how many floors you want to build on top of that. Do you want 3 floors? Do you want 30 floors? It's on you. So, what I'm trying to say here is that I'm trying to equate the strong foundation here with etiquette, the number of floors with the other skills that you want your child to learn or that the child wants to learn. Could be technical skills or sports activities, extracurricular activities, whatever else. The floors are the other skills, and the building itself is your child. So when a child comes with a strong foundation of etiquette, it doesn't matter how many skills he or she learns, he will succeed. He or she will succeed with a strong foundation, right? So it's simple here. Let's look at the pillars here. So let's remember, it is not important to build a skyscraper. I'm not saying that the child should not learn other things and only etiquette has to be focused. No, of course not. It is important for us to not just survive but also thrive, right? So for that, we need to, learn the other skills as well. But let's right now focus on the foundation. So the first is the polite language. We all know polite language here means, the words sorry, thank you, please, excuse me, welcome, all of these things, which we initially need to nudge to the kids because they don't know this, they're not born with this. We need to nudge them initially, but as they get used to it, it becomes their second nature. Then we wouldn't have to, nudge them again and again, and it would just come out as a natural way of life for them, right? So these are the words that can be used for polite language. And coming to think of it, guys, how many of us today, honestly, how many of us today in the webinar right now have experienced this? We have we ever waited for people coming out from the elevator or coming out from the metro before we go in? No, we haven't. Most of the times, we just barge in. We clash into them. We barge in, and we don't really care about our surroundings. Or even when we are, buying a movie ticket, we stand in a queue. Do we actually take care of the spacing between, us and the person in front of us? We don't. We just go and stand so close to that person, not because we enjoy doing it, but because others are expecting us to do it. Otherwise, they'll be like, "Hey, why are you taking up so much space?" Right? This is the kind of mentality that we're all seeing around us. It's not our fault completely, but it's our fault if we don't do anything about it. Because with this basic thinking, when we travel to another country like say Singapore, Japan, or Europe, and we see people are so civilized over there, and we're like, oh wow, what a country. People are so civilized here. But look at, our country look at India, so uncivilized. Oh, it's so irritating, right? So this kind of hypocritic thinking is something that we all live with today, but we clearly need to break the chain. We need to break the chain by helping our children learn the basic essentials of etiquette. All right. So with that thought, move ahead. Let's move ahead. The next thing is watch your words. Now, over here, by saying watch your words, I don't mean only, inculcate rosy words and things like that. No, you've got to go a step ahead. Got to go a step ahead and probably tell your child that it is not okay to comment on somebody's physical appearance publicly. It could be hurtful to that person. Instead, they could share their thoughts with you in person, privately. That's one thing you could tell. Or another way to go a step ahead is, possibly you can tell them that it's not okay to announce that you don't like a particular meal, or don't like a particular gift which has been given to you, right? Again, if your child wants to share, he or she can do so privately. Mama, ye gift to mujhe last time hi mila tha. I don't want it, or I don't like it, right? So these things can be done privately and not publicly. So that's how you can watch your words. Moving on to the next is very important. Greet well. A firm handshake and eye contact. This is the most essential body language and etiquette that a person must learn from their childhood. And I'm telling this so emphasizingly because today in the world, more than 90% of the people are facing this problem of confidence, of public speaking. They are not confident in their own skin, or they can't speak on their feet. They have communication skills issues and things like that. So how can eye contact and firm handshake solve this? Eye contact is such an activity that can instantly boost your confidence. It instantly boosts your confidence, and it also strikes a chord with the other person, right? So it's all right if your child doesn't want to hug or kiss this particular aunt or uncle or things like that. But having a firm handshake and making that eye contact is very important. You could probably teach your child by saying that, hey, while speaking or while meeting this person, why don't you try to look at the color of the eye? Don't say the color of the eye to the person, but look at the color of the eye and later come and tell me. This way, the child will learn how to make eye contact right from their childhood, right? All right, let's move to the next pillar, which is be a good guest, especially while going on play dates. Make sure that your child cleans up after himself or herself. Okay, so when they are playing with toys, when your child and his or her friend is playing with toys, it's always better to clear the mess before they leave, because you don't want your host to feel, array, what is this? So much mess. These kids have created so much mess. I just shouldn't have called these people to my place. You don't want to leave that place making your host feel that way, right? So always teach your kids to clean up after themselves, and also while leaving, ask them to thank their friend. Thank you for sharing your toys with me. Small act of gratitude will show respect to the other person, and you will not believe it, but a child understands respect. They do understand. It's not only for the older people. Respect is needed for everybody, right? So gratitude is a way that the other person feels respected, and gratitude is a way that you will feel humble. And humility is a very essential skill again, right? So teach your child to clear up after themselves, and also to thank the friend for sharing the toys with him or her, right? This is one of the ways to be a good guest. Now, moving on to the next pillar is table manners. Of course, I understand that as parents, it might be a very daunting task, and you might be overwhelmed, each day, every day, making sure that your child is fed. Your focus is just to, make sure that your child gets these amounts of nutrition each day, right? But understand that this is a very essential skill that they learn from the beginning. Otherwise, after they grow up, it will be very difficult for them to imbibe this in themselves. It will be very difficult for you to go out on a meal to a restaurant or a hotel to eat peacefully with good manners around and things like that. Your child might just keep running around and things like that. So let's just discuss two or three points here. I won't go too much into detail. So when it comes to table manners, you could just ask them to wash their hands before and after a meal. And you could also probably ask them not to speak when their mouth is full of food. That's not a good thing to do. You don't want the other person to see what you're eating inside your mouth, right? So that's a very filthy sight. So teach your children not to speak anything while there is food in their mouth. And of course, clear up the dishes once they are done with their meal. These small things can make them independent in their lives. Clearing up the dishes is a very courteous thing to do. Even if you have maids and servants at home to do it, it's important that they learn this. It's possible, right, that later they might just leave, to go to another city, another place, another country, to study further or to work further. And if they don't have this habit of clearing up the dishes, they might just be there lying on the table for I don't know how many hours, and how many, maybe a couple of days also. So it's always better to imbibe this, whether it's a girl or a boy. Let's not differentiate. Let's not have these gender differences, and uh, make it a rule that they clear up the dishes after they are done with the meal. All right. So these were a few pillars of etiquette that I wanted to quickly discuss in this short session. And I'm almost done. This was my last slide. Thank you a lot. Thank you so much for your time. The basic thing here that I wanted to tell you all today is that you've got to be patient and consistent. It's not easy, I understand that, but it's important to be patient. It's important to be consistent. Keep appreciating them when they do something right. And when they are wrong, don't pinpoint, or I mean, don't scold them or punish them, but say it assertively and live by example. Walk the talk. They are observing you. They're observing what my parents are doing, what my grandparents or my family members are doing. So create that atmosphere around you. And I know it will be difficult for most of us in the beginning because we ourselves were not taught these things, but we need to break the chain, right? We need to break the chain, and we want our next generation to learn from our mistakes. So, let's break the chain and let's try to inculcate this habit of etiquette expression each day, every day. They need to evolve as human beings and make the world a better place. So, thank you. And this is what I had to share today. I hope that I made good use of your 15 to 20 minutes of today. Thank you very much. And you can get in touch with me. These are my contact details and my social media handles, just in case. Thank you, Mamta.